I'd like to call to order the Reidsville City Council meeting for Tuesday, July 11, 2023. First on the agenda, we will have invocation by Councilman Hairston, pastor of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church, 111 Regent Trail, Reidsville, North Carolina.
And good evening to everybody.
Watch that.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, good evening to everybody. We're so glad and thankful that we have prayer as part of our meeting because the Lord has really answered our prayers and blessed our city in a wonderful way. So may we go to the Lord in prayer of thanksgiving. Lord, we just thank you so much, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for how you have just blessed Reidsville in such an abundant way. You blessed our city employees, Lord, and our council. And Lord, you've been with us in our meetings and to help us to make decisions, and we couldn't have done it without you. But Lord, we thank you for how you blessed our economy and our children and families. Continue, Lord, to be with us. Because, Lord, we know with you, Lord, that we can do all things. And we pray that you'll be with us in this meeting tonight as you always are. Just bless us in a very special way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda, we have the consent agenda. There are 4 items. Is there anyone who'd like to have one pulled? If not, can we get a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Angela, did you get?
Yes. I put down Chief Esterman and
Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Next on the agenda, special projects, consideration of conceptual design and construction budget for depot shelter project, including accompanying capital project ordinance, Enclosure 1, Josh Beck, Public Works Director, Matt Takacs, with Core Design Company, and Chris Phillips, Assistant City Manager of Administration and Finance Director.
Good evening. So yeah, as mentioned, we're going to kind of tag team this one, so I got some experts with me to help on this one. But one of the last projects we kind of on tap for the year is the depot shelter, and I've provided several documents in that enclosure for you, and I'll quickly go through those. I don't want to take Matt's thunder by any means, but obviously the black and white photo is kind of a representation of the original depot shelter that we've asked Matt and his team to try to mimic. Several 3D renderings of the same of his design are included, and he'll talk about those when he gets up here. Site plan just to show each and every one of them kind of where we're planning it. Obviously it's over here behind Pelham Transportation on the grass hill that we have there. And then finally a rendering of the floor plan to kind of show you the overall layout of that facility. The other thing, after Matt comes up, Chris will present to you guys an amended budget. We have worked with some local contractors on pricing. And of course we provided an initial budget several months ago, but based on the concepts that now Matt has provided us, we felt that was inadequate for some of the things we want to do, Wi-Fi, cameras, other things that we need component-wise to this project. And then I know Chris wants to do a time capsule and other things in the area. So to encompass all of that, we're requesting that budget be raised. So he'll come up at the end if you guys have no questions for that and present that budget. Any questions on my part thus far?
Thank you, Josh. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. In the packet, as Josh referenced, some of the preliminary concept designs that we've been working on. Just a few highlights for you guys. The shelter is approximately 30 by 60 feet. Can accommodate anywhere between 85 and 90 people. And then you'll see some support facilities, bathrooms, some storage, and areas for mechanical items to support the picnic shelter.
Pardon me just a second. Can I ask you to speak up a little bit louder, please?
Yes, sir. As Josh mentioned, we've been looking at the historic train depot for design references and cues. So you'll see materials that we use, such as brick, cast stone for some lintels and some detailing, to give it that sort of character that speaks of downtown and that sort of turn of the century architecture. We're planning for exposed wood columns and structure, as well as some brackets to give it that design elements that take cues from the depot. The roof lines are very similar. You see a hipped roof with a double slope there. The eaves are pronounced to protect the shelter from rain and the elements. And then even some of the windows referencing the transoms while offering privacy for the bathrooms, still having some natural light into those facilities as well. The site, as you can see, orients the structure north and south, sort of running parallel with MLK Drive. We felt that was a good siting. Took advantage of the grading and the topography of the site. It's a fairly steeply sloped site, so we think the siting is very good and takes advantage of that, and then also utilizes the surrounding utilities well. That's for your consideration, and certainly open to questions if you have any.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Looks good to me, man.
Thank you very much. And I think I'll defer to Chris for some of the financial information.
Thank you, guys. Good evening. So you all remember this project is one we've talked about in the past. It's another piece to this end of our downtown, and we wanted to pay homage to the depot and have another opportunity for people to come down to this side. We decided we did want restrooms there, and that we have some at the park, that for this shelter to be useful, that we wanted the restrooms. We did put some initial dollars to this project using the American Rescue Plan funds, and at this time, after we've got this design and current price of building things like this and talking to some folks, we do think we need more dollars to finish this project. So it's going to be a $500,000 budget in total, but we need to move another $200,000. And so there is a capital project ordinance amendment in your packet that will recognize another $200,000 coming from the American Rescue Plan Fund to go to this project.
Maybe I should ask this question earlier. What kind of time frame are we talking about for this?
Well, I don't know. We wanted to have it done this year. It's actually our last sesquicentennial event was going to be at this shelter and to bury a time capsule. And we're still going to bury it there, but I don't know that the shelter will be done. So hopefully we'll be able to get it done so that it can be available to be used in the spring of '24.
So we haven't been to bid or nothing at this point?
No, sir. We have the design and we have an estimate of what it would cost, but we've not bid it.
700?
No, sir. The estimate's 500, but we've only got 300 budgeted right now. So we need another 200 to finish it. And that does include the engineering that's been done and some of the amenities around.
It will have 2 bathroom facilities, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Will it be picnic tables or anything like that?
Yeah, if you look at the drawing, the color drawings don't show them, but there's a site plan layout. Here's a bigger version of it. As you can see here, it's got, these are picnic tables. So 9 large picnic tables under the shelter, and then the 2 restrooms at one end and a mechanical room.
Chris, since we're paying homage to the old train station, do we have anything from the train station that we're going to incorporate into it?
There's several things. If you look at, of course, this is a conceptual drawing, but some of this, the buttresses on the side, those are supposed to mimic what was there. We're going to try to get the colors, so they were green originally, so we probably have some green on the poles. No gold, just green. And then the restrooms, you can see on there, they have a diamond pattern in the windows, and there was a diamond pattern in those other windows. We want to do the little, if the budget allows, we'd like to do the little cupola on the top.
That was my question. I think that would be wonderful if we were able to do that.
Yeah, that's been part of the plan all along. It's not on this drawing, but if we can afford it, we want to do that, because that did get kind of a
You
significant.
knew right off that it was a train station.
Right.
Thank you.
So will the access be from both Scale Street and MLK?
So, it's going to be a nice shelter, and we're thinking it's going to be used. So, in one reason it's where it's at in that property is that the railroad has a very large right of way. A lot of the green space that we're maintaining and have been maintaining for decades belongs to the railroad. And we can't put, where we originally wanted to put the shelter was closer to MLK, but that railroad actually owns it, so we can't get that close. But, the road there is very wide. So what we're thinking is we'll have some parking over the road on MLK. And then we do feel comfortable putting pavers and sidewalk there, not a structure. So most likely the plan would be some parking there, and then a walkway accessing down to the shelter, and some landscaping. And there's a few things we wanted to document as well. The actual location we ended up at is really close to the very first city hall. That was right in the middle of that block. I think it was called Market Building, but it was right between Scales and Market. It was in the middle. Pretty much where this is going to be. And we also had talked about tying into MLK and recognizing the civil rights movement, and Dr. King somehow was packaged in the area as well. And also the Bridge versus Duke Power, which will play a large part. We may do some recognition also along with MLK Drive recognition.
Chris, has been a consideration contacting Norfolk and Southern to see if they'd make any kind of artifacts or anything available to us?
So they're it's hard to talk to a human at the railroad, but we can try that and see. I don't know. We try to get a train, a steam engine, to come through during our Founders Day, and it just doesn't happen. But we could try to see if we can get any consideration from it. We originally wanted to have sort of also to have an art piece to it. So we think the sidewalk, there will be a sidewalk going down to Scale Street. So you think now with the all-inclusive park and then the shelter, it's obvious that you may have children want to come over to the park. So we kind of want the two to have some connection. We're thinking maybe not just a straight sidewalk, but maybe something a little more whimsical, and maybe some art stops along the way. Really to kind of just make that side of town a little more for visitors. And keeping some green space too. We don't lose all the green space.
I'm not mistaken, I was told that they don't even have a steam engine that they put back on the tracks anymore.
No, sir. We tried to get the steam engine. We tried to get the steam engine that used to come through from Spencer, and they said they don't run that one anymore. And then when I contacted the railroad, the actual railroad, they said they don't have a train, but they have a band. If we wanted to have their band come, we could try to book them. So that was about it.
Any other questions?
The only other thing Josh reminded me, we have the old depot bench at Public Works. So, you know, we could try to maybe recreate something like that. Actually, I think there's a city employee that has some artifacts from the depot that was salvaged right before it was destroyed. But we're going to try to make sure folks that knew the depot will recognize that this is an homage to it. Sir.
Chris, that bench might have my initials carved on it. Back in 1960, that was part of my walking beat. 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, that's the only place you could get warm was on that bench. So I have fond memories of that bench.
All right. We'll let you sleep on it again, Chief.
But he didn't have to walk a beat. I didn't walk the beat.
But so the action tonight, we want you kind of to bless this plan as we brought it to you, the idea, location, and concept. But the 200,000 is the action you need to take if you want to. If he wants to move forward and finish up this last of the last of the current projects we're working on in downtown.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to bless them with the 200,000 needed to make this fantastic?
I'd like to make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor? Raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Consideration of update plans for use of American Rescue Plan funding, including restoration of 4 tennis courts at J.C. Park and accompanying grant special revenue ordinance amendment. Enclosure 2, Chris Phillips, City Manager, Assistant City Manager of Administration and Finance, and Hayward Clapp Jr., Assistant City Manager of Community Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, anticipating that you all were still in support of the depot shelter, I did this memo and included the use of that 200,000 that you just approved. So you all will remember we received a total of $4,457,621 in American Rescue Plan dollars, and we've used it for various projects: the streetscape, the splash pad, all-inclusive park, the penthouse project, the depot shelter, scat bus shelters, community stadium, and then last month the tennis courts were presented to you all. And at that time we didn't have anything in here to fund it, but we are recommending using American Rescue Plan funds. That's $113,000. That'll leave the undesignated funding at $132,621. $132,621. And of course, some of these projects are still in the early phase, so it could be that we would need some more dollars to finish them, depending on what they run into to get these things done. And if not, we could find a $132,000 project by the end of 2024 when it has to be dedicated. But in addition to the update on it, there's 2 items attached. Budget amendment number 1, which recognizes the $113,000 in the Parks and Rec Fund to be spent on the tennis courts. And then there's another that's actually the American Rescue Plan update there that shows the $200,000 being transferred out, the $113 being transferred out, and the contingency being reduced where those dollars were originally housed. And I do want to make a comment. Mr. Cloud reminded me before the meeting, you know, when he presented the tennis courts to you all last month, they said they were going to apply for a grant through the Tennis Association. We went ahead and funded the whole project here just to get the project going and get it done. If we do receive the grant, we will apply the grant and then restore this money to American Rescue Plan to be used for another project. But just instead of waiting for that grant to get the project going, we'll go ahead and do it and get reimbursed.
Question, does that hamper our ability to receive a grant once we've already funded through our funds?
It would, it could during, through a federal program or state program. It's called supplanting, which most of them don't let you do. But the tennis association is not as strict on that. I think they've already communicated that if we get the grant, we can
Thank you.
be reimbursed. Yes, sir.
And Mayor and Council, if I may add one more thing, I know there was a desire for City Council, one of our objectives for this upcoming year is to explore the possibility of expanding pickleball courts. So that is something we're looking at. I did speak with our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Cloud, on this, and if we do move forward with the grant for the tennis, it does have to be for tennis courts. So that would abate the need for the pickleball in that area. I just want to be transparent and let you know we did look into that. We still have it on our radar looking at options, but for that particular area, in order for us to qualify for the grant funding, it has to be designated as tennis. So I did just want to clarify that.
Excuse me, good evening. And I also wanted to make sure I reiterated that full 113,000 quote that we got that you all approved last month. Just wanted you all to remember the USTA, the grant, they have a tier system. If you remember, I said that if you're doing 2 to 3 courts, you could possibly win between 15,000. I mean, get grant funding for 15,000 to 25,000. If you're doing 4 to 8 courts, which is what we're doing 4, you can possibly get 25K to 40K. And so I just wanted to make sure it's clear it wasn't for full 113. And whatever, if we're fortunate enough to receive the grant, whatever we receive between 25,000 and 40,000, that will go toward that 113.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So we're designating that for the tennis courts. Do we have to start them this year since it's in our 23 budget, or how does that work?
Well, I think we wanted to start them right away.
Yeah.
I think the shape they're in and the concerns people have, we wanted to move on them. But we can talk to the USTA folks again and just be sure that they'll reimburse us before we spend anything, if that's what you're concerned about.
Can you give us an update on the splash pad? I see a lot of work going on down there.
Yeah, Josh, can you give an update?
I can take that one if Josh Beck may have a little bit more. We're very excited to announce that you have saw some ground moving at the splash pad. So we're continuing to focus on that project now. We are still hopeful and anticipating an opening of Memorial Day of 2024. Unless you want to come down there in December when we're hoping it should be completely done and maybe do some skiing. But we're anticipating a public opening by Memorial Day of 2024, but hoping for completion around December, January of 23-24.
I like the way it's shaping up. It's going to be larger than I anticipated, which is a good thing.
Thanks.
It's impressive.
And I have one question about the grant. When will you have an idea when it's going to be finalized? The grant?
Do they have a schedule or do you supply?
We have applied and we've started the process. We're working on there's an engineering report we have to do as a part of that. So that's what we're working on now. So they're going to come out, do site visits and things like that as we get far along in the process. So as I find out more, we'll let you all know more. And again, if you all are funding this up front and then anticipate being reimbursed if we get the grant, we're going to move as quickly as possible to get them.
And they actually did give us dollars towards the 4 that were done a couple of years ago. So we've received this grant before also.
And Mayor and Council, what I can do in my monthly reports moving forward, as we've done with All-Inclusive Park, keeping you updated, I can now start tying in the tennis just to keep you on a monthly basis where we are.
I have one more question. Since that money can only be allocated for tennis courts, is there a possibility later on of grants for pickleball courts?
of grants for pickleball
Or,
courts.
or money that can be allocated, that
Well,
we can
we-
get money?
If we get that grant and then you want to talk about using the money to reimburse it, if you want to do pickleball courts, we can talk about that. The last estimate, which is dated now, to put another pickleball court beside the one we had was $67,000. And that was a couple of years ago. So, it's not cheap, even when you already have a surface to put a pickleball court. There are some, I'll let Hayden tell you about.
So we looked at this a few years ago when everyone started talking about playing more pickleball, and we looked at some. They sell some manual pickleball courts where they sell the net and the striping that you can put down, and so in turn the tennis courts into pickleball courts. And so we were thinking, so we want as a, I don't want to call it a stopgap, but as to see what this popularity, if it keeps up, because you don't want to build a pickleball court in 70-80 grand and then nobody use it, to maybe buy some of those and set them up and just see how popular this thing is and see it going. You can take them up, put it back down. We thought about putting a little box out there with the paddles, with the ball, and set it up and people can come and play. And that way you still don't lose your ability to have grant funding for the tennis courts because it won't be permanent there. You can just pick it up and play again. So we thought about doing that as a more economic alternative to building a full pickleball court, just to see, how well this thing takes off. So I think that's a possibility. So that's what we're looking at.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can tell you from my experience over at RCARE, as we were preparing for the Black History Program, it's very popular. They wanted to know when we were going to be in and when we were getting out, so they could get back to pickleball.
And it is at J.C. Park. I mean, when the Luckies are playing, there's always people over there playing pickleball. And they're waiting in line to play. So.
Actually, from 8 in the morning, Monday through Friday, from 8 to about 10. They're there, group playing. Yeah, so it's very popular.
I wasn't necessarily talking about taking the money away from the tennis courts. I was talking about let's start a new plan where we're going to get money for pickleball.
Yeah, I don't think there's a probably is a U.S. Pickleball Association.
If it hadn't been, it will be soon.
There's tournaments all over the place. We talked about that last time.
I don't know if they're doing grants yet, but they'll get there.
We'll check into that too.
Thank you.
They may. I just don't have it, know any of any off the top of my head.
And Ms. Scoble, to answer your question, I did talk during the retirement function for last week. Chief Bracken, I talked with Senator, and he said we are still on the list because I asked, and of course we know price increase, but when I asked for the original money for pickleball court, it was $60,000. And so the next time I saw him, he informed me we're still on the list, but I asked him if we could get 65 because I needed paint, money for paint. So, we're on the list, but how many other places in North Carolina are on the list too?
Keep our fingers crossed.
But he knows that we want it.
Thank you.
So.
Any other questions? Krista, we need 2 motions, or can we do it all?
I think, let's do 2.
Okay. Do I have a motion for the budget amendment number 1?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Do I have a motion for grant special revenue ordinance amendment, American Rescue Plan?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, consideration of Barnes Street Bridge betterment agreement with NCDOT, including budget ordinance amendment number 2, Enclosure 3, Josh Beck, Public Works.
Good evening again. Thank you, Mayor. If you guys recall, I think it was April, I brought forth the water line relocation for the bridge replacement. That was a requirement of DOT because if you've driven down 29, you'll see that our water line is actually attached to the decking on the other side, underside of that bridge. So we spent that money to relocate that water line off the bridge so that they could perform the work necessary to replace it. This is a little bit different. This is called what DOT refers to as a betterment. It's not necessary to do the bridge work, but it's something both city manager and staff felt were important to do as part of this project. And so it's two parts, to be clear. One of them is an extra expense to basically widen the bridge to facilitate a sidewalk on the south side of it. And the other part, as we know with the recent casino in Danville and some improvements that we're working with DOT on 29, we wanted to get our emblem, our R, on the columns of the structure on both sides, so that as you drove by, you recognized again that you were in Reidsville and you see that emblem logo. And so this proposal I have before you will cover both of those. And they're split up slightly different. The emblem work, which is fairly minor, $878. And then these are estimates from DOT. I want to be clear, they may change slightly as we go through construction. We have to pay 100% of that $878. The other is substantially more, $123,440, but the city's only responsible for 30% of that. If you guys remember when we talked about the water line, we were only responsible for 25. So there's all these calculations that we work through. So our portion to do the actual sidewalk improvements is the $36,769. So grand total, if you guys are interested in doing both projects, will be $37,647. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it refers to sidewalk improvements. It's not an improvement, it's a new sidewalk, isn't it?
Well, when they replace the bridge, they will widen the bridge itself enough to accommodate a sidewalk across it.
But that's going to be a sidewalk, pardon me, but that's going to be a sidewalk to nowhere, isn't it?
It is currently. They'll have some curb cuts at the on-ramps and sidewalk to stop to there to basically allow the city, if we intend to extend sidewalks to those, and so that you don't walk up on a bridge and you have nowhere to go if we facilitate that in the future. Obviously, this bridge will be there 30, 40 years, so this is just the way that we were trying to look in the future as we see growth in that area potentially. Obviously, it'd be a lot more money if we decided later that we wanted this to then accommodate the bridge and the design and so forth. So yes, to answer your question, it is a patch of a sidewalk across the bridge and some curb cuts in what I would call that right of way, 29 right of way, and then it'll stop each side.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Council, what's your favor for budget ordinance amendment number 2?
May I make the motion that we approve budget ordinance number 2?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none. Those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Nope.
Opposed?
Okay, one opposed. 6
Question,
1.
is a motion needed on the agreement itself as well?
All right, so that means 2 motions.
Did one more.
To enter
into
the one for the agreement overview.
Okay.
Just a motion and second.
All right, do we have a motion for the agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none. Those in favor, raise your right hand.
Matt,
6-1.
6-1.
Next on the agenda, consideration to apply to be a family forward NC employee. Enclosure 4, Ms. Leanne Bason.
Good evening, gentlemen of City Council, Mr. Mayor, and Madam Manager. How good it is to see you this evening. So let me tell you a little bit about this process. There is an initiative in the state of North Carolina for employers who have family-friendly policies in place or who want to develop family-friendly policies to become certified as a family-forward NC employer. And the idea is once you're certified as a family-forward employer, we'll be able to display on like our LinkedIn page or our city website or the portal that our applicants use to go to apply for positions that we are a certified employer. While I have not seen what the application actually looks like, in talks with the people that are steering this initiative, I think we've got a lot of policies already in place that would qualify us as a certified employer. We do paternity leave for paternity and maternity leave for our employees that have a new baby. We have family medical leave available for our employees who are facing their own serious health condition or who are caring for a family member who has a serious health condition. We provide paid sick leave and paid vacation leave to our employees. We really do meet a lot of the criteria. Holiday is part of the criteria to allow people to take a personal holiday to celebrate something that might not be a more mainstream holiday. So I think we're already doing a lot of this, and I think it would be advantageous from a recruitment standpoint and maybe even from a retention standpoint to be able to say, hey, we're officially certified. I cannot guarantee that we're going to be certified because in order to be certified, you first have to pay the certification application fee, and then you can see the questions. But in these conversations, I do think that we are meeting a vast majority of the requirements to be certified. And so I would like permission to go ahead and begin this application process and keep going forward as we go forward.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if we did receive it and we were awarded the certification and it's valid for 2 years, so what happens at the end of the 2 years?
I assume that we would have to go through another certification process and pay some additional dollars to be recertified. They've not been very transparent in what that recertification process looks like, and I think it's because it's a very new program, and they just haven't had anybody that's gotten to the end of that initial 2 years yet.
So right now, you only have to pay the $750.
$750 plus $50, so $800 initially, and that would cover us for 2 years.
I think it would be something that would be very beneficial to us, specifically when we recruit.
I agree. I think it's one more step in being the employer of choice in Rockingham County.
If we were designated, how many people know about it? I mean, I don't understand what the value would be if nobody knows about it.
That's a valid concern. I do think because there is this big push across the state that probably over the next year, 18 months, employees and job seekers are going to begin to recognize, hey, they're certified, I know what that means. I'm more interested in applying for them than, say, another municipality that is not certified.
Thank you.
And that means a lot to anyone who, you could have a sick relative, a sick baby, sick parent. Just the knowledge that you are not going to be penalized if that particular situation arises in your family.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Ms. Basinger, I was just looking, and this is a new program, so we're getting in on the ground floor, I'm assuming, and it says that that they will have a logo. So if we are certified, then we could use the logo in the recruitment area and everything. And like you said, that could probably, we hope, get the top qualified candidates.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
everything, to have that logo, so they would know. Because when you're looking for a job, you know all the stuff that's going on. So,
I'm so sorry, Councilman.
that's okay.
And one thing just to add, Mayor and Council, and Ms. Basinger, please feel free to add as well, but I do know that this is a movement amongst the Chamber of Commerce. I know Ms. Sawyer's here, and then also Don Charaba with Reidsville Area Foundation. There's some key members who have brought that to our attention about some of the benefits of looking at this.
Yeah, in the Rockingham County Partnership for Children. That's where this all started, was with the foundation and the Partnership for Children. And we actually started moving before the pandemic, and then everything broke apart. But I would love nothing more than to say the city of Reidsville was the first certified. They did a case study on the chamber for our policies that were changed after I came to work. And we've been trying to recruit industries and others because there's money through the foundation. You guys are so far ahead that I'm with Leanne. I don't think it would be very hard to get certified, but Dawn is trying to get HR folks across the county to look at their policies. And so they have an HR expert that will meet with folks, but it would be awesome. Like you would be getting in on the ground floor and be able to lead the way. And so a lot of people don't know about it, but a lot of people are getting ready to know about it.
And then when we do recruit new industry, it would be something we have to present.
Yes.
We've already got it. So look at
And
it.
you're setting the tone for the industries that you're recruiting.
Right, right.
Does anyone else in our county or surrounding counties have the certification yet? Do you know?
None of the local governments, I don't know if any of the private industry have gotten
We
certified
had one
yet.
industry who was getting ready to start the process, and somewhere up in the corporate chain, in a different location in the state shut it down. So there would have been one that we share, an industry here in Reidsville, and another location in Arlington County, and it got shut down. So to my knowledge, no one has certified yet.
Mr. Mayor, what I like about this request, it has the least amount of zeros of any request I've seen in a long time.
I knew you'd like that, Chief.
Who do we actually apply for the certification with?
It is through the Family Forward NC, through their website.
Any other questions? We have a motion.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, board and commission appointments. July appointments, Enclosure 5.
That's all right. I needed it.
Oh boy, I'm sorry. No, you good? First time I've seen a dangerous CP.
Is it mine?
No.
No, mine popped out quick. Next thing on the agenda is public comments. Do we have anyone who'd like to come before council and speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a couple updates in reference to personnel. I'd like to welcome our new fire chief, Mr. Josh Farmer. It's very nice to have him in attendance this meeting, so welcome. And then also just to give council an update, we are working with Mac Williams and his firm for the economic development director position. I do know that he's going to be, he may have already reached out to each of you, some of you about getting feedback on what we're looking for. I know he conducted an interview with me and some other staff members last week. So we are starting to move forward on that, and I'll have a calendar for you at your August meeting of a date on that. A couple updates in reference to city projects. Just wanted to bring attention to our Sesquicentennial celebration for this month of July. We'll have 3 events. I really want to appreciate everyone who came out and helped us celebrate our Independence Day celebration and all the time and effort that our city staff put into that. Especially a great shout out to our Parks and Rec department, and then all the members that sit out there, Ms. Stadler, Ms. Basinger, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Cloud, Councilmember Scoble. I saw several of our council members and mayor as well out there helping with the Sesquicentennial table. So just thank you so much for making that a very successful event. And then also we will be having our next event. It will be this Saturday at Market Square. It'll be the Cat 5 band, so please come out and support that. It's at 7 p.m. And then also this month on Tuesday, July the 18th, Chief Farmer is going to showcase the Reidsville Fire Department for our open house. And Chief, I'm assuming that's at Station 1, correct? And it'll be from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then I really want to thank each of you for attending and all the support that you've given to the Sky's the Limit, the park. We had our official opening on Thursday, June the 29th, and because of Mayor Forum and City Council's vision, I appreciate all of city staff that made that a reality. And I think that's something to be really proud of for our community, so thank you for that. And then the splash pad, I'm going to start getting that back on the radar. It is underway, and again, construction. It is starting now, and we estimate it to be open by Memorial Day. And that concludes my report for this month.
Thank you. Council member report. We'll start with reports. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I've only got a couple of things. On June 27th, I attended a special call meeting at City Hall. On the 29th, I attended the ribbon cutting of the all-inclusive park. On the 29th also, I participated in the city audit here at City Hall. And also on the 30th, I attended Chief Bracken's retirement celebration. I don't know who put that together, but that was first class. I'm sure Angela has something to do with it, and our city manager and Judy. And,
pointing other people.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilwoman Dejanay.
I only have a few things too. On the 13th, I attended a city council meeting. On the 27th, the city hall for a special meeting. On the 28th, the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce meeting where they had a very special guest, Todd House. And I want to commend the chamber for having some very informative meetings now. They're having people from different areas that will support the community. Also, I had attended the Sky's the Limit all-inclusive park ribbon cutting, and also attended Chief Bracken's retirement, which was very well done.
And so I don't forget this time, Diane.
Very, very short this month. So, still get that to you, even though it's really short. Good evening, Councilman Festerman. I'll keep it short and sweet for you, just for you today. We are having our ice cream social on Thursday, and we would love for you all to come. We are very excited to serve hot dogs and chicken barbecue sandwiches from the Downtown Doghouse, and also ice cream and all the toppings. So come and join us. It starts at 4. I would love to have all of you. Also have our golf tournament coming up. That's the big thing. I cannot believe it's 5 weeks away. But it will be at Greensboro National on August the 16th. Thank you to Eden Combs with Realty One and R3 for being our naming sponsors. We only have one ribbon cutting coming up. It's kind of hot, and lots of people are on vacation. So, but Fresenius Kidney Center, they are expanding and adding some providers. So they approached us about wanting to celebrate and let everybody know. So that is on August the 2nd at 2 p.m. We do have 4 new members, and the August Coffee and Connections will be at First National Bank on Main Street. Short, sweet.
Thank
Any
you, Diane.
questions? You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilman Hairston.
I'll be very brief. I was able to attend the all-inclusive park ribbon cutting and also was able to meet Chief Bracken and wish him the best in his retirement. And that's my report.
Councilwoman Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. I will not be brief. This will be a good night for me to read. Usually I try to pick out a couple of highlights, but and since we have a little extra time tonight, I will read my full report. On June the 15th, I attended the luncheon for Beck in Reidsville. The 15th, the ABC board meeting. The 16th, the Lucky's baseball program, which we had the Sesquicentennial booth set up. That was the 150th night. June the 17th, the Motown Blast at Market Square, which was absolutely awesome. And Ms. Yarbrough, I did not, this is my night to pick on you. I always pick on somebody. Would there be a guesstimate of how many people attended that? Just the best guesstimate we can give is around 1,500. Okay, it was awesome. It was packed. It was wonderful, wonderful. And when I left, when it was over, people were still in line for the food trucks getting food, so I hope they were happy too. Also on June the 17th, it was a Chinkapin Trail Walk. There was a fundraiser there. I attended that morning and did the whole trail. June the 18th, the open house at Governor Reed's house. The 22nd, the Parents Commission meeting. The 23rd, a soup kitchen meeting. The 24th, Cornerstone Church, their summer fun fest. The 27th, special council member board meeting. The 29th, the ribbon cutting at the all-inclusive park. The 30th would be David Bracken's retirement program. And the 29th, the Concerned Citizens group met with several of us about their concern with the speeding in Reidsville. And Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Stoll.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 15th, I attended Place Your Bet on Reidsville at the Reidsville Country Club, and that was such a great meeting. It was so informative and so many ideas that we shared, so I think that was great, and we appreciate Judy and Diane for organizing that. Had a special, on the 21st, special meeting with Code Alliance. The 26th, I met with the principals of South End School and Moss Street School, the new principals coming up this year, to work with them about a Kiwanis Kids program there. The 27th, RDC board meeting. The 27th, special meeting with the mayor and city manager. The 29th, Sky's the Limit playground ribbon cutting. I was especially proud on the 30th to attend Chief Bracken's retirement reception and to welcome our new chief, Chief Farmer, as for his pinning. On July 4th, the Reidsville Lake celebration, and July 7th to the 11th, for the first time in 10 years, my husband and I took a vacation. But I do also want to say we had a very important member of our community that passed away on Sunday night, Bob Mullings. He was really involved with a lot of different things here in Reidsville, and he will be a big loss to our community. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Fuster.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody's wondering what this is a new turf at the Reidsville football stadium, so we're so happy to, this thing really looks good. I invite you to go out and take a look at the stadium. It looks fantastic. We got a first quality turf, and we also always have first quality teams, so this will do us proud. And I know this council has supported this, and I know the school system and everyone's very appreciative of our support for that. Also, I was made aware today that the class of 23 at Regional Senior High School, the class received over $5,765,000 in scholarships. Far ahead of any other school in the county. You know, we've always known that we had great students out there. We've had folks out there that excelled in industry, medicine, law enforcement, military. And I don't think we give enough credit to those things other than athletes. We think about the athletes, but there's a lot of other folks who made our town, our society, and our state, and the nation a better place because of the contribution. And that was founded in Reidsville Senior High School. So I'm very, very proud of it. I'll share these numbers with you later on if you're interested in seeing it. $5,765,000 was given in scholarship. No other high school in the county comes close to that. And I suspect you have a hard time finding any school of this size in North Carolina that would equal that. So I'm very proud of that, and I know you are too. The other announcement I'd like to make, I have been wrestling with something over the last couple of weeks, and finally this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I made a phone call to both of my children and Beck. I have made a decision that this will be my last time on council. I've enjoyed 99% of it. It's been really great working with you folks. I think after 24 years, 6 elections, and 60 years of, I'd like to say service, I hope you would say it that way, association might be a better word for the city. I think it's time to find someone else to fill these shoes. I was thinking about the future as we go forward. You know, this election will elect a new majority council. But I have no fear of that because the 2 returning and the mayor will give us a strong working force. And worst case scenario, I think we're going to be in great shape going forward. So I'm so indebted to the people who supported me over the years, and it's just been a real pleasure. I had the good fortune to have a wife support me. Vicky's feel that, yeah, they've done it. And I wish you the best. May God bless you. God bless the city of Regent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for your service to the city.
And thank you for the knowledge that you have shared and your experiences that you have shared that we don't have.
You have really meant so much to us.
A lot of that experience came from mistakes I made. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we all make mistakes. I'm going to forego my report because I've got a relatively long one. And I don't want to steal any of the thunder from the chief's announcement. But I do want to say thank you to the 194 strong employees that we have here in the city of Reidsville. I want to say thank you to my 6 brothers and sisters on council for your service to the city of Reidsville and all that you do to make Reidsville one of the best little cities in the state. I was telling the young ladies at the Beauty of Reidsville on Saturday that we live simply like Mayberry, but we think we like the big cities in this state. Again, I just want to say thank you. Announcement of board and commission appointments.
Thank you.
Okay, for the Reidsville Appearance Commission, Ms. Mary Carmen Gardillo of 315 Maple Avenue, she has applied for a reinstatement on the board and has been reinstated.
Okay. We'll be moving to the first floor conference room for a closed session to discuss real estate, personnel, and economic development. Pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11, A5, 4, and 6. Do we have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved. Second.
All right. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. We won't be coming back out. We'll close out in the conference room. Thank Thank you all for your participation tonight.